Chrissy Jensen, and I'm here today to tell you about our Saint of the Week, Saint Theodore Guerin. Saint Theodore Guerin was born on October 2nd, 1798 in France by the name of Anne Therese. She was the third of 4 kids. Her 2 older brothers unfortunately died in infancy, though. And this led to a lot of problems with her mom, and she just became the caretaker of her family. Her mother was very obviously upset at losing her 2 sons, and unfortunately, her father died returning from the Navy. He was returning from the Navy, and he was killed on his way home, and so she was just grieving and really struggling. And so Anne Therese became the caregiver of her younger sister and even her mother. Now, she knew at a very early age that she wanted to be a nun. She received her communion early. At the time, it was proper to receive your first communion at the age of 12, and she received it at the age of 10. And at her first communion, she said that she knew that she was going to become a nun, and that was like her dream for her life. However, because she became the caretaker of her mother and her sister, it kind of delayed her hopes of becoming a nun. And so she wasn't able to enter religious life until she was about 25 years old. But she did enter the Sisters of Provence at Roule-sur-Loire in 1823. Shortly after she entered the convent, she got very sick and she almost died. They had some medicine that could treat this illness, which did save her life, but unfortunately, it led to a lot of digestive issues in her future, and she was not able to eat very much at any given time, or things that had a lot of flavor or just had a lot of variety. And so it really impacted her health. She was very frail, very weak, and obviously very thin, and just it was a big struggle in her life. She became a teacher in France and taught all kinds of the most challenging students that they had, and taught them that they have dignity and worth and that they are loved. And because of her message of love and hope and grace, the students really transformed who they were and became great students and became really just had an amazing discipline in their life after her impact on their life. During this time when she was teaching in France, the Bishop of Vincennes in Indiana in the United States reached out to his home back in France and asked if they would send sisters to the New World to help with the influx of Catholic immigrants who were coming to Indiana at the time. They wanted to send some nuns, and they asked for the Sisters of Provence to do this. And they asked for volunteers, and a whole bunch of the nuns volunteered, but Sister Theodore did not volunteer. And so then they approached her and said, you have a special gift. This is something that you need to do. And she was really hesitant because of her health. And she just was really fearful that her health problems would end up causing struggles within the community and that it would actually be a burden to them. And she really didn't want to go, but they told her that if she didn't go, none of the sisters would go. And so it kind of put a lot of pressure on her to go. She ended up really getting enthusiastic about it and going to America. Indiana obviously is not on the coast, and so it was a very long journey to go from France to Indiana. It took them 3 months. They had really terrible weather at sea. They just struggled a lot to even get there, and they were very excited to arrive in Indiana. And when they did, they found that there was nothing there for them. There was no home, no place for them to stay. It was just wilderness and forest all around. And they started to lose a little bit of hope and just become really discouraged in their journey. They were promised all of these things. They were promised a home and a place to stay, but were not able to receive those things. However, they persevered. Everyone in the community bonded together and was able to provide them with a home and some food. And within the first year of them arriving in Indiana, they were able to open their first school for girls. She is credited for establishing and founding several establishments within Indiana, several schools. She established 2 orphanages, a free pharmacy. She is also the foundress of the Sisters of Providence of Mary of the Woods. She died on May 14th, 1856. She is the 8th American saint and the first saint from Indiana. Sister Theodore had this motto that she would teach the other teachers. She said, "Love the children first, then teach them." As a youth minister, this is a type of saying that we use a lot. We say instead, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that this message is very similar to the one that Sister Theodore practiced and preached to her, to the people in her community and in her life. It was very important for her to teach people that they are loved and have a great dignity. Her feast day is October 3rd, but is also celebrated on May 14th in the Roman Martyrology. Her name in the official Vatican records is Saint Theodora, but we commonly know her as Saint Theodore Guerin. Saint Theodore really depended on God's providence and the love of others in her community. She struggled and suffered a lot, but was able to persevere because God is good and provides, even in these very difficult times, especially when we're following his will. In times of trouble, remember, this could be you.